I want to thank you for giving me the time to make a few quick points. The projected cost for the project is $24 million, which is twice the entire annual budget of the county. Obviously, with a project of this size, public input is very important. However, we have been told that a vote on this issue is off the table. Our only opportunity to voice our opinions has been in the form of these few under-publicized meetings. Okay, according to the Middle Mountain Wind Project Frequently Asked Questions, quote, the county is approaching this project from a revenue generation perspective. The document states, quote, the total investment in the project could range from $22 to $24 million. The document then states that over the 20-year life of the project, the county expects to earn $10 million. So let's take a best-case scenario in which the project successfully comes in completely on the lowest end of the projected costs, $22 million. A profit of $10 million over 20 years equals an annual return of investment of 2.3%. Hood River County has a population of 22,000 people. A $22 million investment in the county equates to roughly $1,000 per person. You're asking us to gamble $1,000 each in a controversial and risky project with the potential reward of earning $23 each per year. I'm not surprised you don't want this to go to a vote. We have been told by the Commission that any concerns about negative impact to property values are completely unwarranted. As proof, we've been given a report entitled The Impact of Wind Facilities on Residential Property Values. We could argue all day over the validity of the pseudoscience presented in that report, including the use of economically bankrupt tricks such as hedonic adjustment of data. But, however, anyone with the slightest level of discernment can easily recognize that this report is completely worthless by simply looking at the final page. I'd like to hand you that page right now. The page contains a picture of a beautiful home next to a 250-foot industrial-sized wind turbine. According to the report, whether or not that turbine was placed next to the house has no effect whatsoever on the value of the home. Mr. Meyer, we understand that you not only are a county commissioner, but also a leading real estate agent in the county. According to your own bio, you are a self-proclaimed trusted expert real estate negotiator. If you truly believe that the conclusions of this report are accurate, could you please tell the audience and my tens of thousands of YouTube viewers that if you were representing a buyer of that property, you would advise them to completely ignore the wind turbine when determining the actual property value?
No, I wouldn't.
Thank you. One final point I want to make is there's been a lot of criticism of us who are critical of this project, saying that this is just an example of NIMBY, not in my backyard type of argument. That's clearly not the case. There are certain projects, such as construction of a garbage dump or a water treatment facility, which the county must undertake, and nobody wants that close to their home. That I understand, and tough decisions must be made. However, in this case, we don't need these turbines. It's not a necessity. You could easily just not do the project. So could you please consider just not doing the project and just leaving us alone?
Yes, we could very much consider it, but not before we explore it in the full context of where we think the county's headed, where we think the world is headed, where we think our energy is going to come from. With regards to the wind turbines and being a realtor, I have to say, yeah, I would say that is an impact, and I have that conversation all the time. Yeah.
Now, isn't it true that the residents of the Upper Valley will not be using the energy that's produced there from those windmills in the Upper Valley? They get their energy from the Hood River Electric Co-op,
They
which
do.
will not be getting the energy from those wind turbines. Isn't that correct?
I think that the co-ops will, over time, they have had a certain carve-out for access to certain cheap electricity, and those rates are actually expiring soon. And so soon, you're going to see the Hood River Electric Co-op get very interested in energy conservation.
After watching wind power for 20 years across the river, that the locals over there started out being indifferent to wind power or in support of it. But now you'd be hard-pressed to find a supporter of wind power that's not paid to support it. We have over 600 towers across the river over in Klickitat County that are up. So people are starting to get a feel for it, you know. It's really in their face. They said that there wouldn't be any bird problems, but the first eagle that they put a monitor on was killed by wind power fairly quickly. The state fish and wildlife, the federal fish and wildlife people have said again and again that the Columbia River Gorge is not the right place for concentrated wind power. And our members have been in touch with people who do maintenance and repair work on the towers over in Klickitat County. And they are telling us that they are coming up with some pretty serious unanticipated problems. Underground lines that are breaking, vibration that is more than what they anticipated, so they're having to go in and cinch down those nuts that hold the towers to the foundation every day. Wells that are coming loose because of the vibration, and a lot more noise than was anticipated due to faulty equipment.
Why couldn't this be a private enterprise? I mean, it sounds to me like you're just taking the Hood River County residents and taxpayers and putting them on the hook for a $20 million project that may or may not make you money. You know, you say it will, but that's, you know, what 4 out of 5 businesses fail. And it sounds like a business to me and not government.
The discussion about whether it's an enterprise thing, yeah, you know, valid. But we have been engaged in that type of activity with our forests for a long time, and we're looking.
There's a lot of talk about the comparing this project with the forest, with the timber, as far as you know, an example of the county engaging in activities which appear to be more the place for a private business, basically engaging in for-profit activity, entrepreneurial activity as such. Now, doesn't there seem to be quite a major distinction between the two in the sense that the timber, selling rights to cut timber, has no costs. I mean, it's pretty simple to make money off that if you own the land. You just there's no risk involved. It's a very simple process. Whereas here you're talking about investing in, you know, about you know, taking $20 million and hoping that, you know, after a certain amount of time, in 20 years, you'll get a 2.4% return on that investment. It's fundamentally different, isn't it?
No.
And why is that? I mean, isn't the risk, just the risk factor, isn't the risk substantially less in the timber, in the way the county engages its timber business as opposed to this? I mean, isn't it a degree, this is a much riskier venture, isn't it, than simply leasing out land that is already owned for usage?
Yeah, there's probably a lot more moving parts, absolutely.